It's almost like they're saying, we'll turn her baby face when we want to turn her baby face. And that's ridiculous, bro. Bro, booking and writing is hard enough. You don't need to go against the grain. You don't need to make it more difficult on yourself than it is. That's ridiculous, man.
What's going on, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Chris Featherstone for another episode of Riding Through Soul with the man himself, former WCW World Heavyweight Champion, Vince Russo. How are you, my man?
I am all right, Dr. Chris. What's going on, my friend?
You know, I usually say another day in paradise, and it is another day in paradise, but I received some very unfortunate information from Linda Harris, the wife of Black Bart, and I released it on Twitter. And she wanted me to. She said that she wanted to call me and maybe the first one to release it because she said, "I know you'll do him good." So
that's good, man.
So I appreciate that from Linda. She's a sweetheart, and she's a tough one, man. She's been with him through and through, and met him several years ago. I went to have I always was a big fan of Global Wrestling Federation, and I remember watching it as a kid from about 90. I think it lasted only from like 91 to 94. And there's so many wrestlers that came out of Global that we know now, to be WWE star. JBL came out of Global, of course. Scott Putski was a big guy. It was huge in Global. Sean Waltman was the Lightning Kid, I believe, when he was in Global. Jerry Lynn came out of Global. The Patriot, Wilkes came out of Global. Excuse me. And there were so many people who Ahmed Johnson came out of Global. It was Moabib, I believe. And it's just a rich history in that 3 years of time. It brought out so many people. And Black Bart, man, he was a mainstay in Global. He was the top heel there. And I just wanted to do like a random series one day. I was like, man, I wonder where are they now type of guy. And several years ago, I wanted to do a random series. And so I reached out to a bunch of people from Global and interviewed a bunch of them. Ended up being pretty cool with Del Wilkes as well. And unfortunately, he passed away. But man, when I talked to Bart, we clicked. I mean, just like we were brothers, like from the very first time we talked. And he was a strong man of faith. So we talked our Christianity. We talked our Christian faith. He was a huge fan of just sharing old wrestling stories. And I was just, drinking from the well of his old wrestling stories and talking about different things. And it was awesome, man. And so since then, we would just frequently check on each other. He was on my show plenty of times, probably one of the most people on my show. Always belly laughs. He was just always funny. We would joke around. And so, man, it was great to become really good friends with him. And I'm blessed that I was able to be a part of his journey in some small way. And so he will definitely be missed. And our prayers go to the Harris family. And you will be missed, old Black Bart, man. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You think you know all the wrestling stories? There's more you haven't heard yet. Join us on Backstage Pass.
All right, let's talk about Tiffany Stratton winning the championship, cashing in her contract, and beating Nia Jax to become the women's world champion. Well, actually, the WWE champion, the WWE Women's Champion. And here you go. She won the contract, kept it for about 6 months, and now she is the champion. But I did receive some information that she is still booked internally as a heel. So she is not going to change. She is Money in the Bank. She was still heel despite multiple times, winning, just being completely cheered by the fans. Vince, what do you think about Tiffany Stratton's still being internally on the heel roster, despite months and months of being not only mildly cheered by the fans, loudly cheered by the fans? When do you pull the trigger and say, "Hey, it's time to ride that wave and turn her babyface"?
Oh, bro, they're months too late. I mean, when you put her in that angle with Nia Jax and Francis LaRue over there, I mean, Miss LaRue was clearly the heel.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no doubt about it, the way they set up the story.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I don't know why they would still be presenting her as a heel. I don't understand that.
Yeah. When you book stuff like that, when is the, like, how far does the does it have to go before the trigger is like pulled? Like, if you're starting to see like mild cheers, do you keep that in mind as a writer? Do you wait for the fans to get a little bit more vocal in their, adulation or their likeness for someone? When's the threshold that has to be crossed in order for you to change plans creatively?
Yeah, I mean, Chris, immediately. So once immediately, you just want to go down that road in a way which it makes sense. You don't want to abruptly, out of nowhere, go down that road. Once you go down that road, but you just lay it out over time where it makes sense. And you just do that by being true to the character. I mean, it's not difficult to do at all, Chris.
Yeah. How would you have turned, well, she's still not babyface. I guess my question to you is, how would you turn Tiffany Stratton babyface since, cashing in the Money in the Bank now?
She already is babyface. I mean, she already is. They don't like Nia Jax. They don't like LaRue. I mean, she already is a babyface. I mean, she's not a heel. She 1000% is not a heel.
Yeah. So internally, she's still on the roster, as a heel. How would you book her now? Because right now, she's still a heel. Internally, she's still being booked as a heel. I agree with you. I mean, she's clearly, cheered by, she's clearly a babyface. And my philosophy on that is, if someone is being cheered, turn them. Because the only thing that does is that it kills the dynamic. Right. Because every babyface that she's going against is being cheered because people are cheering her. Right. So that just hurts the babyface that you're trying to get over. Yeah. It's counterproductive to what's going on. I remember she was going against Naomi. People love Naomi, but she was getting jeered. Bailey, people love Bailey, but she was getting jeered at times. Throughout this, year, less than a year that she's been on the main roster, she was having feuds and people were jeering the babyface. So how does that help the babyface when she's supposed to be the one jeered?
It doesn't, bro. It's almost like they're saying, we'll turn her babyface when we want to turn her babyface. Yeah. And that's ridiculous, bro. Bro, booking and writing is hard enough. You don't need to go against the grain. You don't need to make it more difficult on yourself than it is. That's ridiculous, man.
Absolutely. Especially since Nia Jax is a clear-cut heel. I mean, and that's what I do like about Nia Jax. People say things about her wrestling ability and things like that. To me, I think heels can get away with that more, as far as not necessarily being, catch as catch can, clinic wrestling technician. Traditionally, heels were the ones that didn't have to do that much work. Basically the baby faces would lead the dance and the heels would just be intimidating and big and clobber and and punch and things like that, because at the end of the day, this is about building the babyface. And so the heel is there to make the babyface look better for another heel to come, another foe. I mean, like, you're a Batman guy. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
It's you have the foes, you have the dastardly foes that try to come in and destroy Batman. Batman wins, and then here comes another foe. Batman wins, and here comes another foe. Batman wins, and so, but in those foes become popular. The Joker, the Riddler, those characters become popular along the way,
right?
And that same framework should work at, it's WWE, but if you're having like Magneto or someone from X-Men who's actually fighting for good and people like, and it's being cheered for in the city, so to speak, let that person fight for good. You know what I mean? So, so yeah. Well, do you think we're going to lead to Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax sooner than later, or where do you think we go with Tiffany from now?
Well, I think they'll probably do the LaRue gimmick first because she's kind of in the middle. Yeah, and I mean, once you get through that, you gotta go to Nia Jax. I mean, you have to.
Yeah. So Stratton versus Jax is what you see for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
What do you think about that match?
WrestleMania is what now? Coach was telling me today. Now it's the end of April.
Yeah, it's Easter weekend. It's Easter Sunday.
So you got, what do we got? We got January 1st.
3.5 months.
We still got a ways to go. So, no, I like that. I mean, I like that match. I like her. I mean, she's got it. She's got charisma. I'm definitely a fan of hers.
So 3.5 months from now, how can you make that match must see if you had the books?
Just put a ton of heat on Nia Jax.
Okay.
Just put a ton of heat. Like I said, go through LaRue first. I mean, they could spend a month doing that, and then just build to WrestleMania with Nia Jax getting heat on her.
Do you have Nia gain the belt back to continue the feud at WrestleMania? Or do you?
I wouldn't.
Tiffany?
I would keep it on Tiffany. I would keep it on. Yeah.
Who's next then? Who's the next heel that goes against Tiffany Stratton post Nia Jax?
Well, that all depends on how you want to bring back Becky and Charlotte.
Charlotte,
or Alexa Bliss for that matter. How you want to. You've got a lot of women that you're bringing back. So whoever you want to bring back as a heel, that's what I would do.
Okay, so with 3.5 months left, you still got like the Royal Rumble, right? So do you do Stratton versus Nia Jax as a throwaway for the Royal Rumble, and then you have Charlotte return and either win the Royal Rumble, which I wouldn't be a big fan of, but either win the Royal Rumble or just come back opposite Stratton, face off, maybe an attack, something like that, and then you set up and you build for Stratton versus Charlotte. What do you think is the bigger money match for WrestleMania? Stratton versus Jax or Stratton versus Charlotte?
If the way they book, if they go all the way to WrestleMania with Tiffany and Nia Jax, bro, it's gonna feel like it's dragging out. It's a long time away, and the way they book, I would much rather have them do that at the Royal Rumble.
I agree. Yeah. I think that's where you do it, is the Royal Rumble. I do think a more money match, marquee on paper, is Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. I just think it looks better on paper, especially for the current fan base. I do think if you really push, I mean, Nia Jax is a good heel, I think, because she gets heat. I mean, people just don't like her, and that's good. I mean, she's doing her job. But when it comes to Charlotte does a really good job getting heat too. She'll probably get that return pop, for being gone, but she can really take that and transfer it to a ton of heat if she makes that, dastardly evil turn, something like that. So it'll be interesting. I mean, you could easily also do Nia Jax and Candice LeRae, attack Tiffany Stratton. That commences a babyface turn. Charlotte makes the save, with teams with Tiffany Stratton. then you can easily have Stratton and Charlotte beat Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. And then during the celebration, boom. I mean, Charlotte turns right there, and that leads.
I have a feeling, though, bro. I think we're going to see, just because of what I saw on Netflix, I think we're going to see Nikki Bella again.
Yeah, I can see that, too.
They've got a lot of women. One thing you got to say is, you know, the women's division, you know, we talk about it all the time, but they do got a lot of women on the sideline. They do got a lot of cards that they can play over the next year.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I just think like similar builds, similar like pinup doll type of looks, you know what I mean, with Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton. I think is someone Charlotte's an amazing athlete in the ring. If there's someone who really, out of all the options, if there's someone who really could be used to put Tiffany Stratton over to the next level, it would definitely be Charlotte Flair to me. I think that's a given in my opinion.
Yeah.